Hi, how are
Hello,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for being willing to participate as in our subject, as a subject in our research project. We're doing a survey on ways of coping with the COVID-19 pandemic, and we appreciate your help.
Of course.
I have your code name on the confidential survey as ES. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, those are my initials. Yeah.
Okay, good. And would you like me to use your name, your first name in the survey, or would you prefer I just used your initials ES?
You can call me Emilia.
Okay, okay. Um, Tell me, where am I finding you? In what country are you, Amelia, right now?
So I live in US. Originally, I'm from Finland.
Okay, in this study on ways of coping with the pandemic. I'm going to ask you some questions now about your experience with the pandemic. And for the first three questions, I'm going to be writing down some brief notes on your responses. And to make sure I've written down your responses accurately, I'm then going to read you back the responses so you can let me know if I've left anything important out. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Good. So the first question is, how has the pandemic affected your level of stress and behavior?
Um, I would say on average, not so much, but it has affected mostly on my work life because I work from home.
Okay.
And I have two kids, and my husband works from home at the moment too. So it's hard to get to support my kids in a online school and then do my own work and try to set the boundaries.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anything else or any examples of that?
Um, so I think just to I need to set routines,
Mm-hmm.
and we have arranged our home so everybody has their own work station, and they work table, and yeah, just arrangements at home, and yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm just going to read back some of the ideas that you gave me.
Mm.
And you said that the pandemic hasn't really affected you that much, but it has affected you in these ways. It's affected your work life because you have children. They're schooling at home and your husband's working from home. That it's difficult to set boundaries, that you need to create routines, and setting routines has helped. And now everyone has their own workstation, and that makes your arrangements easier.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Good. 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 Thank you. The next question is, the pandemic can affect people in many different ways. It can affect our emotions, our finances, our relationships with other people, and so forth. What aspects of the pandemic have been most stressful for you?
Um, I think regulating and managing like the emotional life, myself and my children.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you mind telling me a little bit more about that if you can or you want to?
Mm-hmm. So just because we are together all the time, of course, it makes everything more intense. And
Yes.
um, And yeah, so I think just there isn't any other people we can count on a daily basis as teachers and friends. And so I sometimes feel that it's only me who, like, my kids are counting on, and it's sometimes hard.
Mhm. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Thank you. So it's the challenges. And first of all, anything else before I repeat back to you what I think you said to me, just to be clear, are there any other aspects of the pandemic that have been stressful for you?
Well, maybe the at first that you didn't know, we didn't have information about the virus. So my older kid asked a lot, and I really didn't have so many answers that he wanted me to have. So always just say, I don't know, was sometimes stressful.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
So that was stressful. That's how it affected you, right? Not
Yeah.
knowing.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you
Mm,
could think of that was stressful for you?
um, not at the moment. I don't come up with anything else.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm just going to repeat back to you, okay, what you
Okay.
said to me, and correct me if I'm wrong or add what I forgot.
Yeah.
You said that regulating
Mm,
your emotional life, your own emotional life, and also your emotional life with your children was
mm,
difficult. That it was difficult to be together all the time because it was more intense,
mm,
and that there weren't others around to count on. There weren't teachers, there weren't other friends or parents. It was just you.
mm,
And one other thing that you said that was important is that you didn't know about the virus at the beginning. So it was difficult for you not to know and to have your child ask you questions that you didn't have the answers for. Is that right?
yes, correct.
Thank you. Is there anything else I'm missing?
No, I think that was all I said. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what things have helped you the most to cope with the pandemic?
So I think the most helpful thing has been meditation.
Okay. And if you gave me an example of that, is that something that you do regularly or occasionally when you needed it?
So yeah, I set up a routine on that. So I do at least 30 minutes breathe focusing meditation daily. And I even arrange own, we have this glass house in the backyard, at the backyard. So I usually go there.
Okay, so you have a place for it as
Yes,
well as having a regular time.
yes.
You also have a place where you do meditate. Okay. Um, and what about the meditation is most helpful to you?
Just reconnect with my body.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Reconnect with your body. Uh-huh.
yeah. And I think it helps me to regulate my emotions.
And help regulate your emotions.
Mhm.
Is there anything else?
Mm, no, I think that's it.
Okay. And tell me the second helpful thing that you've used during the pandemic
So it's a
to
little
cope.
bit linked to the earlier. So set up routines, daily routines or weekly
Okay,
routines.
good. And can you give me an example of that, a routine you might have set up?
So I started to wake up earlier than everybody else in the house. So I have time to do my meditation and do some writing before everybody else wakes up.
Okay.
And
So,
then I try to exercise, well, almost every day.
okay. Good. So that would be the third thing, exercise.
Yeah, maybe, but it's also part of the routine. But yeah,
Okay,
that
so
you can put it
thank you.
as a third
Okay,
thing.
so
Yeah.
thanks for clarifying. So I'm going to keep those things together that you told me, setting up a daily routine,
Yeah.
which includes waking up in the morning, writing, and meditation. And in that category of structured routine that you've set up, exercise is part of that.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else within that category of setting up a daily routine?
Mm, no, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And would you like to give me an example of a third helpful thing that you used?
Yeah. So that would be the exercise. So I at least I walk every day 25 minutes.
Okay.
So go outside and yeah, walk and maybe listen to podcast or music.
Okay. So that third thing is walking every day, and going outside includes going outside, and maybe listening to a podcast as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about that has been most helpful?
You mean in walking outside and
Yes.
um, just to get out of the house and get fresh air and get my mind to something else.
Okay. So what's been most helpful about that is to get you out of the house, that you get fresh air, and that you get your mind on something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else that you haven't told me that you want to add?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question then.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being as very stressed and 1 being not stressed at all, how stressed were you in March when the pandemic began?
I would say 4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 as very stressed and 1 as not at all stressed, what was your average stress level over the last 2 weeks?
I would say 4.
Okay. Do you have any family members, relatives, or friends who've contracted COVID-19?
No.
Okay. How serious do you think the COVID-19 pandemic is? Very serious, moderately serious, slightly serious, or not at all serious? Not that serious.
Yeah. I would say in general very serious.
Very serious.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm going to now read to you some different ways that can be used to cope with the pandemic. For each of these, please tell me whether you used it or not. And if you used it, was it slightly helpful, moderately helpful, very helpful, or not helpful? I'll say those again: slightly helpful, moderately helpful, very helpful, or not helpful. And as you talk, I'm going to be checking off your responses.
Mhm.
Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is talking to a family member. Was that helpful or not helpful? Or first of all, did you use it or not use it? Then I'll ask you about helpful.
Yeah. No, I haven't used it.
Okay. And talking to a friend.
Yes.
Was it slightly helpful, slightly helpful, moderately helpful, very helpful, or not helpful?
Slightly.
Talking to a religious leader.
No.
Talking to a doctor or nurse.
No.
Talking to a mental health professional.
No.
Prayer.
No.
Okay. Learning about coping strategies.
Mm, mm, maybe yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And was that slightly, moderately, very, or not helpful?
I would say moderately.
Okay. What about focusing on positive thoughts?
Yes.
Was that slightly, moderately, very, or not helpful?
Moderately.
Okay. How about listening to music?
Yes.
And in terms of its helpfulness?
Very.
And what about exercise and movement?
Yes.
And in terms of helpfulness?
Very.
Deep breathing?
Yes.
And helpfulness?
Very.
Progressive muscle relaxation?
No.
Okay. Avoiding news about the pandemic?
No.
Imagining a positive experience?
Yes.
And in terms of helpfulness?
Hard to say. Maybe slightly.
Okay. Watching video on how to cope?
No.
And what about sticking to a daily or weekly schedule of activities?
Yes.
And how helpful was that?
Very.
Avoiding thinking about it?
No.
Humor, using humor.
Yes.
And how helpful was that?
Very.
Okay. Reading?
Yes.
And how helpful was that?
I wouldn't say that it's a coping technique for me, so I would say moderately.
Okay. Participating in a sport?
No.
Watching TV or movies?
No.
Going for a walk?
Yes.
How helpful was that?
Very.
Community connection. That could be religious, sports, or professional.
Yes.
How helpful was that?
Very.
And meditation.
Yes.
How helpful was that?
Very.
And what about recreational drinking?
Yes, I would say that I have used it. Yeah.
And how helpful was that?
Slightly.
Thank you. We're finished with that section.
Mhm.
The next question, please share some brief information about yourself. I'm going to read you some different responses and you can tell me which one applies to you. And you may also choose the category that you'd prefer not to say.
Mhm.
What is your gender?
Female.
And how old are you? 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and so on.
So I'm in 40 and 49.
Okay. How many years of education do you have?
Oh yeah, so we counted this. It's 20.
Okay. And what is your marital status?
So I'm married.
Okay. And are you living alone, living with one or more people, living with a pet? Prefer not to say?
So living with one or more persons.
And how would you identify your cultural or ethnic identity?
I'm white, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much for participating in this survey and answering all of the questions so well. By doing so, you're really supporting our efforts to help people all around the world find better ways to cope with the stress of a global pandemic. If you're interested in learning more about resources for coping with stress for yourself or for your family related to the pandemic, then feel free to visit our website, disastershock.com. And thank you very much for your help. It was lovely to spend time with you this way.
Thank you.